right, bit of music.
Kisses for me, save all your kisses.
Something like that. Oh, hey. Oh, that was, yeah. Thanks very much. Pop music, the global soundtrack that's got the world dancing from Mombasa to Milford Haven. The Beatles, Oasis, Tamla Motown, Blair and more. But you know what? Sometimes perfection can get a little bit boring. I mean, imagine a Premier League of 20 Man Uniteds, or a whole evening on TV of watching award-winning Alan Bennett monologues. Boring! Well, in this show, we're going to show you some of pop music's greatest misdemeanours, like the It Sounded Great After 15 Pints of Creme de Menthe in Benidorm record. The Novelty Hit by Eric Bristow lookalikes.
I remember Elvis Presley.
The Ill-Advised Dance Craze. Or anything by The Alarm. The list is endless, but we've chosen for you the top 10 really annoying records that no self-respecting collection should be, with.
I haven't changed a bit, I don't think. I haven't, Dolce. We had numerous pink cardigans.
Yeah, and the dresses changed. And that cardigan was made for me by Grandma, and Nicola had bought one.
But like all top acts, St Winifred's had paid their dues.
Brian and Michael for you now, better known as Burke and Jerk around the northern clubs, and listen to this song, great stuff.
They were on this too.
He painted Salford smoky tops on cardboard boxes from the shops, parts of ankles.
And we did the backing track, and we went down to St Winifred's to say, please will you sing on the record?
But without the necessary licences, the trip to Top of the Pops for the underage singers turned into a nightmare.
We had a coach full with all the St Winifred's original kids. And then the saddest news that they could have heard, and it was quite a blow for us as well, was that they couldn't appear. Someone from the record company had to send out to a stage school to get some older kids in. Terry Foley from St Winifred's, and as we were rehearsing these kids in the corridor,
It just felt wrong to me. I was so really upset and very half-hearted about it, and of course they would insist on singing it, how they thought all northern children must sing it, which, you know, we didn't. And I resented it very much.
But revenge is a dish best enjoyed cold, and guided by the business acumen of Sister Aquinas, they went for a hit of their own. Before long, the Mancunian Moppets were ankle-sock deep in filthy lucre.
For me, as a nun, my world was turned upside down. I have a bout of poverty, and all this money was coming in, royalties, and the music too. I mean, my life had been quite a quiet life, so it got quite exciting. But I think the staff enjoyed it and the children enjoyed it.
Strawberry Studios.
Yeah.
Do you remember?
Yeah.
And they used to make us Vimto in the breaks.
And arrow bars.
Yeah.
We had arrow bars.
Yeah.
Banana arrow bars if you were good.
The song climbed the chart, but then tragedy struck.
I'm certain that he was dead at the moment that the first shots hit his body.
John Lennon got shot, and it was at number 2. And John Lennon was below us at the time or something like that. And Sister came out with something very unholy at that stage, I think, which was, we we're not going to make it, or something like that. But John Lennon did go to number one eventually, but we actually did just get to number one before him.
I remember where I was stood, and I remember who I was stood next to on there. And I remember having to be quick because Bob Geldof was coming on afterwards.
On occasion I was a little bit starstruck by it all, but the children were sort of very matter of fact. You know, even to pointing out to the Boomtown Rats that they were miming, you know, and should they be miming when we weren't miming?
If you were under 16, you had to have a licence to appear on the television. And I was actually on holiday when they got the licences, so I didn't get a licence, and I've never forgiven my mother since for going on holiday at that particular time.
Yeah, because then you would missed out on Telly Savalas as well.
Yeah, because they went to Pebble Mill at 1 then, didn't you, the
He
next
gave
day?
us a lollipop.
Mm. And did he say he loves your baby, or did he just...
Baby.
Did he?
Of course he did.
Grandma knocked ABBA off number one, but with the typical big-heartedness that's given them the best welfare state in Europe, the Swedes invited the choir to back them at a UK concert.
We knew that there was like however many hundreds of people there, but you couldn't see anybody because the lights were so bright. But it was like that whenever you went on stage.
But there was always a group of people that you knew would faint.
Yes, the call fainters.
But yeah, you knew.
Yeah.
And you knew if you were stood next to them, you'd have to hold them up.
It was very wonderful. The music, of course, I always loved ABBA's music, so it was really very lovely. That was one of the highlights of my whole career, I should think.
Now, the ripe old age of 20, Dawn
The dizzy pinnacle of all this was meeting silver-haired charmer Mike Aspel. The cherubic dawn came too.
I remember one particular time we were going to make a religious programme, and my dad was out of work, and Sister gave my mum some money for a new dress for the programme, and we love her lots.
Oh, thank you.
God bless.
All sorts of things happen in the British charts, and this is to prove they're so versatile, I guess. With a little lady in the front who's only 8 years of age, St Winifred's School Choir.
And he means that most sincerely. But hard-bitten rock cynics weren't as charitable as Peter Powell.
And I think to actually knock a song like Grandma, that you are insulting the people who've actually bought it, and also everybody that was involved in the song itself.
When did you last have a number one hit?
Yeah.
I mean, I have never met anybody on a social level, or, you know, worked with, who can turn around and say, oh, we've had a number one hit, or we were part of a number one hit. Grandma, we love you. Grandma, we do. Though you may be far away, we think of you. And one day when we're older, we'll look back and say, there's no one quite like Grandma, she has helped us on our way.
Cheggers, what? Cheggers, have you got Fat Boy Slim?
Will you go away?
What's it Slim Boy Fat?
I don't know.
Sorry.
You know, a lot of people think that DJs are suave, sophisticated creatures of the night. People like Gary Davis and Chris Moyles, who flip from a fashion show to a restaurant opening with Kofi and Annan steps.
It's Thin Lizzy. It's Thin Lizzy.
Is it?
Yes, yes.
That's very kind of you. Fine, thank you. Yeah, goodbye. But no, you know, mobile DJs like myself have to cope with people like that. Hostile audiences, temperamental equipment, hen nights, and requests for records like this.
Hello, I'm Giuseppe. I got something real special for you now. Ready? Okay.
I've been reminded that that record of Joe Dolce's was recorded in 35 different languages, and it sounded crap in all of them.
1, 2, 4, 5, schon als junger Mann war mir eines lieb und klar. Irgendwann wird ich ein Superstar. So was spontan, ja, das sage ich laut. ser tot gar nicht sehr gebaut.
Driven from his native Ohio, presumably by a mob with flaming torches and pitchforks, Joe settled in Melbourne, Australia, where he works as a performance artist and apparently blues harmonica advisor on Unhinged Gardener's Question Time.
Wandilada ningona, midanaya minona, midanaya kurku, midanaya rigwanina, midanaya jaja, waji walamaya, menada wangana ningana gumba. When I was a boy, just about the 8th grade, Mama used to say, don't stay out late. With the bad boys, Giuseppe, always shoot the pool, going to flunk a school. Two seminal events in my childhood led to my musical sort of the seeds. Three, actually. My dad smashed a hole in my bass drum that he'd bought me when I was about 8. I made a 9-string guitar and he pulled all the strings off and broke that in half. And the last thing I remember, when the first time we saw the Beatles on television, he said they'll last a week. So I knew from that, those were the early musical influences. And then I fell in love when I was in high school with this college honor students who used to sing in French and play guitar.
Presumably she wasn't singing this.
When the Shut Up Your Face first came out, I remember running around down the street in the Italian neighborhood where we used to hang out and actually apologizing in advance to all my favorite places.
It actually is extraordinarily racist in its concept, and is really rude about the Italians in a way that they truly do not deserve.
It was basically the Caucasians, you know, the white Anglo-Saxons that had a problem with it because they were afraid that their Italian friends were going to be insulted by their laughing at this song, but the Italians laughed too. Everyone had a good laugh together.
What's the matter, you? Hey, gotta know respect. What do you think you do? Why you look so sad?
My background was Italian, and I'm not insulting anybody. I'm just talking about my grandma. So, you know, I usually could explain it, but, you know, it was because it was such a touchy subject, you know. I mean, it's hard to even imagine it now. We've grown up with multiculturalism in the last 20 years, but in the 80s it was really a touchy thing.
Big violin solo, hung.
To prove his intentions were honourable, Joe and his mate, Vietnamese comic Hung Lee, recorded an anti-racist version aimed at Australia's One Nation party.
They're basically a fairly ignorant party, you know, that basically are fed up with Asian immigration and a lot of other issues here.
I don't know why they want to keep the Asians out. The Asians invented the spaghetti. First, if they want to keep the Asians out, then they're going to want to keep the spaghetti out. And later, you messing with my spaghetti, you're going to mess with me. You don't have to worry about no Asian innovation. You're going to be worrying about the minutes from Venice.
It's an unlikely song to have been a success, really, to think about it. Novelty's not quite the word. It's more like unlikely because it didn't fit in any market. And yet it still got through to people's hearts.
Je moet leren, dit lied is heel simpel. Kijk, ik zing, hou de toog eens in. En hoe zing, hey! En dan zing ik de rest. En dan in de einde allemaal, houd op de kop. Oké, laten we proberen. 1, 2, 3, 4, wat is er aan de hand? Hey, doe toch eens normaal. Wie denken wel dat ik ben, hè? Het is een groot schandaal. It's not so bad. It's a nicer place. I'll shut up your face. Mwah! Great, everybody gets an A+.
The sing-along part of Shut Up Your Face was never intended to be in the song. I originally wrote it with just a hey and the line, but after I began to sing this, you know, in night after night of playing these tough little clubs, eventually people would just kept doing the hey. So and then I realized, wait a minute, I'll just leave that in. So the audience actually wrote that part themselves, you know.
So Joe Public helped Joe Dolce keep rock's most notorious pencil tash off the top.
I think Shut Up Your Face kept a few in the number 2 spot. Ultravox sort of made a career out of talking about how much they hate Shut Up Your Face. I mean, pretty pathetic if you ask me.
I thought it was dead funny, that Shut Up Your Face, you know. Great chorus. I wish we'd come up with it.
Tonight I'll watch the moon and then the Pleiades go.
Yeah, the best way to understand where I am now with relate to where I was with Shut Up Your Face is you got to understand that Shut Up Your Face was something that captured the imagination of the public, right? Where I am now is not capturing the imagination of the poet. And in this low light. And Bach was the one who showed me that, because Bach, his whole life, he wasn't recognized. That's my role model now, because I believe that I can earn a living and I can be successful and I can keep my music moving incrementally in the direction it has to go, right? And whether I'm discovered or not in 100 years, who cares? Because I'm dead, right? I could kill it. But it's possible.
Oi, 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 pack it in, you little buck. Well, children, hey, where do we lose that sense of innocence and wonder in the universe? I'll tell you what, these little rapscallions here, well, they could learn something from these cherubic little talents. Wait, will you stop that? What are you doing?
Just say no.
Who can forget Neil Reed's blood-curdling vibrato? As this rare early footage shows, it took Radiohead several years to arrive at today's style. Another product here of the showbiz hothouse that is St Winifred's. This is Claire Usher, and this is her message. And a case of real shame. If only the cast of Grange Hill had just said no when they were asked to record this anti-drugs classic.
You gotta be yourself.
More effective than any number of family planning leaflets, I think you'll agree. Join us after the break for number 8, 7 and 6 in our countdown. Be afraid. Very afraid.